Yo, what's good, guys? It's Austin here, or Luna. Today's story is definitely a good one, an awkward one. Definitely one of those fuck my life story times. Hope you guys enjoy it. If you do, leave a like on the video. Let's get into this. So today's story time all takes place in 2016, as the last couple story times have. And just because 2016 was one of the most interesting years of my life, to say the least. And this all starts off as a regular day, like any other story time. I'm sitting in my room, in bed. I just woke up. It was pretty early in the morning, actually. Like, I usually get up really late in the afternoon, but for some reason on this day, I woke up pretty early. I think it was like 9 or 10, which is early for me. I know some of you guys are going to be like, bro, I get up every day at 7 a.m. for school. That's nothing. Well, 9 a.m. was early for me, right? I woke up. It was a Saturday morning. I was laying in bed. It was like 9:30, 10 a.m. I'm on my phone. I'm just scrolling through Twitter, scrolling through Instagram, replying to comments, doing what I usually do in the morning, right? And all of a sudden, one of my friends hits me up, who I hadn't heard from in like weeks. Now, this friend of mine happened to be a girl, and she happened to be someone that I'd like flirted with before and like kind of had a thing with. And we'd been friends for a long time, right? Let's just call this friend Sadie, okay? Me and Sadie have known each other for like over a year at this point. She hits me up, hadn't heard from her in a couple weeks, and she was like, hey, you want to hang out today? And I had nothing going on, so I was like, yeah, of course. She goes, cool, I'll pick you up. So 10, 15 minutes later, Sadie's in my driveway waiting for me to come outside, and I am still very much in bed, not ready to go, and I look like death. I literally looked like a tornado ripped my house out from the ground, ripped me up in it, swirled me around a few times, and threw me back on the ground. I looked like shit. So I quickly jump up, I run to the bathroom, I shower in like record time, I do my hair really fast, brush my teeth, and I go outside, and I get in Sadie's car. And she's like, why are you wet? I was like, what? She goes, you're wet. And she points to my hair and like my face because I didn't dry off very well. I was still kind of wet in the face area. And she was like, did you just shower? I was like, yeah. Why? She's like, because you're wet. I was like, yeah, I get it. I took a shower. There's water involved. She's like, no, but like, did you even dry off? Like, you literally look like you just came out of the shower and put clothes on. I was like, yeah, I pretty much did. I was in a rush. She's like, did you just wake up? I was like, yes. She's like, damn. I'm like, what do you want me to do? Not shower and get in your car and smell like a fucking dumpster? And she's like, whatever. So after Sadie roasted me for taking a shower and getting in her car looking like a wet dog, we set off on our drive. We got some food through a drive-thru, drove around for a little bit, and we ended up back at her house about 30, 40 minutes later, and we're just sitting in her room watching some Netflix. Now, I think I mentioned it earlier in the story time, but me and Sadie used to have a thing a little while back. Yeah, me and her kind of used to have feelings for each other. Then we like broke up and stopped talking like that and just kind of became friends. And for a while it worked well. But for some reason on this day, I don't know what had gotten into either of us, but for some reason those feelings kind of came back to the surface while we were hanging out in her room. And that goes for both of us. Like, for some reason she was being super flirty and so was I. And we ended up kind of cuddling up and watching Netflix. And I'm not going to really go into detail about what happened, but needless to say, we hooked up, right? Like, we hooked up. It was cool. It was fun. Had a great time. But the only problem is it made things very awkward after it was over with. Like, after we got done, we're laying in bed, and we're both like, shit. We just made this friendship even more complicated than it already was. And she looks at me, I look at her, and she's like, let's just pretend that didn't happen. And I was like, agreed. Because she didn't want to fuck up our friendship, and neither did I. I just wanted us to continue being friends and not complicate things too much. But unfortunately, yeah, we already hooked up, and it kind of did complicate things a little bit. And after this, the rest of that night was pretty normal. Nothing too out of the ordinary, just a little bit awkward. And after that, I didn't hear from Sadie for a while. I went home later that night, went to bed, and for like the next couple of weeks, I didn't hear from her. I tried not to think too much about it because, sometimes we would just go a couple weeks without talking. There was no, problems. It was just, a matter of her being busy and me being busy. So I tried to not give it too much thought. But then, a month goes by, and I still don't hear from her. So I text her. I'm like, hey, what's up? She ignores me. Then a month and a half goes by. Still haven't heard from her. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck's going on? So I just kind of let it be, right? I'm like, well, I guess she just doesn't want to talk to me anymore. Like, oh, well, that sucks. It hurt. It definitely hurt. But at the same time, I can't force someone to be my friend. So if she didn't want to be friends anymore and things got too complicated, I have to understand that. I definitely get it. But then a week later, so at this point, like a month and 3 weeks, I get a text from her. And I shit you not, it just says, hi. Just H-I. And I respond, I'm like, hey, how you been? Like, it's almost been 2 months, haven't heard from you. And she was like, yeah, well, after that night, I kind of caught feelings again, and I think you did too. And, I just didn't want that to happen, so I wanted to give it some time so we could kind of lose those feelings again and just be friends. But I have to talk to you now because I just found something out that you need to know about. And when she said this, I already knew. I literally already knew. She goes, I'm pregnant. Let me tell you, man, my stomach sunk so hard and I felt like I was going to fucking die. I was like, oh no. Because, like, bro, my life just got started. I was doing well on YouTube. I was about to start traveling. Like, it's not that I don't want a kid ever. I just didn't want a kid then because I was still a kid. I was like 17. So the first thing I responded with was shit. Just shit. And she goes, I know. And I was like, do you want to keep it? And she goes, yeah, I think so. And I was like, okay. Are you sure it's mine? And she goes, I don't know. Now, usually most guys, when they hear that, would be like, you know, probably on edge because they'd probably be talking to their girlfriend and they'd probably be like, what the hell? Like, what do you mean you don't know if it's mine or not? Because that would mean, you know, she's been with other people that aren't him. And, you know, that might mean that he's getting cheated on. But since this girl wasn't even my girlfriend and we were just kind of friends with benefits in a way, I was actually relieved. I was like, holy shit, it might not be mine. Like, I was actually really hoping it wasn't because, yeah, I just didn't want a baby at 17 years old. So I respond to her and I'm like, whose might it be? She goes, either yours, and then she says this other guy's name that I knew. It was actually someone that I was friends with, which I was like, okay, that's kind of annoying because now my friendship with him and this girl are going to be complicated. But anyway, I had bigger problems to worry about. I was like, okay, how recently did you and him hook up? She goes, a week after me and you did. And I'm like, okay, so let's get a paternity test going so we can really figure this out. I'm sure most of you know what that is, but a paternity test is how to find out who the father is. It's a DNA test, essentially, with the baby and the father. And she's like, yeah, I want to, but I talked to my doctor, and it's too early. We have to wait another few weeks before we can do it. I was like, shit. So literally for almost a month, me, this girl, and my friend are in a group chat together, just completely on edge, not knowing who the father of this kid is, and tweaked. Like, I was so nervous. Like, I could barely make videos. It was on my mind 24/7. I really thought that I just, like, completely fucked everything up. And yeah, we're in a group chat together. Like, somehow this whole experience brought us closer, and we just had to wait. And yeah, almost a month later, we got the test done. And guess whose kid it was? Mine. I didn't want to talk about it, but yeah, I have a son. He's almost 5 years old. His name is Larry. I'm just fucking kidding. It was my friend's. Thank fuck. Yeah, the baby was not mine. It belonged to my friend. It was his kid. And they actually went along with the pregnancy and had the kid. And the baby was a healthy boy. I think he's like 4 or 5 years old now. And, you know, he's happy. My friend's happy. Sadie's also happy. Sadie and my friend actually ended up starting a relationship. And they're still together to this day. So, you know, good for them. And the happiest ending of all was me, bro. I was so happy I wasn't having a kid. Now, don't get me wrong. This video is not meant to be like, oh, fuck having kids. Like, don't have a kid. I think having a child is a beautiful thing. And I think if you want to do it, you should do it when you're ready and when you're able to support the child. It takes a great amount of responsibility to have a kid. So, like, I was not ready yet. I was not responsible yet. I was still very much a kid myself. And yeah, you have to be mature and ready for that kind of thing. So, yeah, I was very happy when I found out it wasn't mine. But that's not taking credit away from my two friends. They raised that kid very well. He's very happy. He's very healthy. And it seems like he's in a really good home. So, you know, I'm happy for them and shout out to them for being awesome parents and, you know, just doing the right thing. But yeah, guys, funny enough, this isn't the first time something like this had happened. I actually told another story time on this channel before about something very similar. Yeah, it happened twice. And from that point on, I realized, like, protection is very much important. So yeah, moral of the story is, if you are having relations with a woman, make sure you use protection. That's the moral of this story. Be responsible. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this story time. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below and turn notifications on because I upload every day. And subscribe if you're new. See you guys later. Peace.
Get cake till I'm dead and I'm knocking at the gate. Wonder will I land up, probably in the lake. If you got a problem, stand up and say it to my face. Mama always said I'ma be something great. Yeah, I stack M's, that's my motherfucking fate.